car hit on flock is being stolen.
Okay.
Apparently, NCIC says the car's been stolen. So Aggie stops it, takes him out of the car.
Hands up! Hands up! Both hands up!
He's the owner. Says he never reported it stolen.
That was in the corner, right?
Yeah.
And he drove like looking at me. I was like, you looking at me like it's...
So
I
all the
checked,
things together made it look...
I checked,
I got you.
and then came back stolen.
Why would it come back stolen?
I don't know. I haven't stolen the vehicle. I bought it. That's my license. Those are my license.
Yeah.
And that's my license. That was my tag. I have it registered.
Did you have any issues with the vehicle? Has anybody else driven it? Any issues with a tow company, anything like that?
Never had a tow.
My bad. You said negative stolen? I thought you said stolen. Because
What's happening?
When it came to...
The cops pulled him over for... Basically, the cops see him driving. They run his plates. The plates come back stolen.
Right.
So they pull him over.
Right.
And then start asking him questions. Right. He's like, this is my car. He produces the registration. He produces everything. He's like, I own the car. And they're like, he's the owner. All right, so you're going to let me go now, right?
I would hope so.
See, now that's the thing. Is that when a situation like this happens, it's a mistake. Mm-hmm. And a mistake not by the police officers, by the system.
Okay.
Because how is it showing up stolen if it's his car and he never reported it stolen?
That's what I'm trying to figure out.
It's an error some way or the other. But the officer's job is to investigate the situation. When what is on the computer doesn't match real life, then you need to figure it out.
Right.
Don't assume he's a criminal. Don't assume your system is correct if it's being belied by what you're seeing.
That's true.
And that's what I believe is about to happen. Is that what they should do is once you confirm that he owns the car, he has the registration, everything, let him go. Call your dispatch, call the people, and be like, yo, something's wrong with this. And then let him go.
Yeah.
Take his name, whatever. Figure out where he live at, and if you have to come look for him later, come look for him.
Right.
But leave him alone. Let him go. Because you have once you realize he owns it, you no longer have reasonable suspicion to believe the car is stolen. So once your suspicions have been belied, continuing to hold him there is unnecessary and it's illegal.
Yeah.
And what they're probably going to do is hold him there until they can try to figure out something else. But it's like, that's not how this works. If he's not done nothing, let him go.
Yeah.
He was stolen in a freaking flock. See?
This footage, just recently released out of Hampton, Virginia, shows a math teacher being pulled out of his car at gunpoint by police. They thought the car was stolen, but it was not stolen. As I explained before in a prior video, this happens all over the country. Yep. What is the law on this? Can the police just aim a gun at you and order you out of the car just because their computer system says, or they mistakenly believe, that your car is stolen? They have no other information about you indicating that you may be armed or dangerous, just a computer entry. Take a look at the footage and then I'll explain.
Hands up! Hands up! Both hands up! Turn off the car. Your car is coming back stolen. Face away from me! Who's this car? My car. Is it your car? Yes, sir. Why is it coming back? Did you report it stolen? Yes, sir. You did not report it stolen?
No. Stolen. The calculator, I'm trying to get solve the problem, man.
Got a shirt and tie on.
Yes, sir.
I ain't mad, I ain't upset. I just need to, get to work.
Car hit on flock is being stolen.
Okay.
Apparently, NCIC says the car's been stolen. So Aggie stops it, takes him out of the car. He's the owner. Says he never reported it stolen. Is he the registered owner?
I'm gonna check right now. It isn't. Why the hell is coming back stolen?
Is it the tag that's stolen or is it the vehicle?
I don't know. He came back as a stolen vehicle.
Can you
verify that through info?
Yeah.
Not through info, but Comsat gave me return as stolen.
Who else drives your vehicle?
Nobody but me.
Why would it come back stolen?
I don't know. I haven't stolen the vehicle. I bought
Ask
it.
the
That's
DMV.
my license. Those are my license.
Yeah.
And that's my license. That was my tag. I have it registered.
Did you have any issues with the vehicle? Has anybody else driven it? Any issues with a tow company, anything like that?
Never had a tow.
I know, but have you had any issues?
No, because he never had a
None
tow.
whatsoever.
No, sir.
Well, we'll get this squared away. Unhandcuff him.
There you go.
Okay.
That's what you're supposed to do.
She said negative stolen? My bad. You said negative stolen? I thought you said stolen. Because what it came to me was stolen in a freaking flock.
It's not your fault either. Let him but don't make this worse. Let him go.
Behind the car when I saw it.
What does it say right now?
Those are stolen vehicle.
Is it updated?
I don't know if it's updated.
I don't know why.
I understand what you're saying.
I don't know why. So the officer didn't know either. And so we're going to try to get to the bottom of it from
All
our
I can
end.
do is comply.
Yes, sir.
You understand what I'm saying?
Yes, sir.
That's it.
I feel bad because 99 times out of 100, the system was right that one time.
I don't understand why it came back as stolen, but...
Alright, it's all a bit.
Yeah, you're good to go.
You sure?
Yeah.
Okay.
Appreciate you.
Yeah, no problem. I'm so sorry.
Thank you very much.
Just fix it. That's all.
I'm not going to trust this.
I like this.
Just fix it. It's not about trusting. It's a machine. There is no right or wrong. It looks for a series of numbers.
But I was in the corner, right?
Yeah.
And he drove like looking at me. I was like, you looking at me like this?
So all the things together made it look...
Don't start. No, Mr. Officer. They love doing this shit. When something happens and they're at fault or whatever,
Yeah.
they start trying to justify it backwards afterwards. Now he looked at you suspiciously. He's trying to add in other facts to make his stop of this man seem more reasonable.
Yeah, but the thing is, if you're going off of misinformation that you have to comply with within your job.
That's my point.
You were given false information,
Correct.
so you didn't do anything wrong
Correct.
either.
So there's no need, which
For
is
extra
my point.
shit.
There's no need to add no extra shit. Oh, he looked at me weird. What are you doing?
Yeah.
Why are you saying that? That's a fucking lie, and you know it.
Period. Full stop. I looked at the thing. It said it was
It was stolen.
car.
So I
my
did.
job.
Like
Period. Full stop.
what are we talking about? Like don't start with the bullshit.
Later that day, the math teacher called the sergeant at the police department
Yep.
and had the following conversation with him about what had transpired earlier that day.
What I'm doing right now with Officer Aguilar is we're actually digging into the middle of trying to figure out how this happened and why it happened.
Really?
Because if he's holding a gunpoint over a vehicle that belonged to you, and I got to figure out how did we get to that point?
Right.
I was put in a position where if I did anything wrong, I could have been, destroyed. It could have been taken away.
Right. And the other part is that arguably, just from the computer screen, there's no reason to pull your gun.
He did.
Of course he did. They pulled him at a gunpoint.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, I think the police could probably ultimately justify pulling their gun in this type of situation.
Yeah.
But the argument could also be made that it was excessive. That it's excessive to pull your gun when all you have is the computer situation and you don't yet have any information that corroborates the computer system. Because the computer system can make errors. You're not the custodian of that. You're just receiving that. So, but cops generally rely on the information that they're given by the department or by dispatch. But perhaps the argument can be made that when they arrived there, that they should have taken more time to assess more information before now determining that he's definitely a threat to pull your gun out, right? Because you can't be treating citizens like this, especially when this is how it turns out.
I understand that. However, I do want to argue the simple fact that misinformation on their end could risk their life.
Yeah, well, that's their fault.
I know.
Not his fault.
No, but it's not the officer's fault either because the person whoever entered that data incorrectly.
I know, but what I'm saying is even with the data entered incorrectly, if all you have is the computer printout that the tags are coming back stolen, that doesn't necessarily mean it is stolen, right? It could be an error.
Sure.
It gives them reasonable suspicion to pull you over, but does it escalate the situation to the point where you need to pull the gun out? Because being a car thief doesn't necessarily mean that you're dangerous.
Yeah, I was just
He's
about
not
to
a
ask a
murderer. He's not. It is a felony, but it's not. We're not as if we're talking about someone who is known to be armed and dangerous. You could steal cars without ever having a weapon.
Okay.
Right.
I didn't do anything wrong, but I'm just saying this. And then as a result, I ain't put in a position where everybody sees me,
Yep.
locked up as if I had done something wrong.
I have to examine two pieces of this. The first of it is I have to figure out how we got to that to begin with, right?
Okay.
That's your system.
How did we get to where a vehicle that is not stolen is coming back as a stolen vehicle, which causes the officer to respond in a certain way?
Yep.
Did he operate appropriately with that understanding?
And I don't know that either.
As you would know if you watched my video out of Lehigh, Colorado, this is far from an isolated incident. This happens all the time, and there are many more examples out there. And what do all of these examples have in common? Innocent people that, as I said, could be your mother, your father, all held at gunpoint by your government, not in response to anything that they did wrong, not in response to any threat being presented at all to police officers, just because it's your government's policy, allegedly, to do this. If the car comes back stolen, then they perform a so-called high-risk or felony stop. But is that constitutional? Is it constitutional for your government to just aim a gun at you because it's their policy, because your vehicle is coming up as stolen on their computer system? No, it's not. As I explained in the Lehigh, Colorado case, the Fourth Amendment, which would govern this, is all about the government, the police acting reasonably. Yep. So they can aim a gun at you under certain circumstances. They can shoot you under certain circumstances. But the facts...
And that's what I said before. The argument is that the situation, while it definitely required a stop and it required them to do whatever they were going to do, it didn't necessarily require pulling the gun out. Not without more information. Not without him acting weird, not complying, shit like that. He complied, he did everything they said they did, but they've started with the gun before doing anything else.
True.
The police will argue, oh, officer safety, blah, blah, blah. But as a citizen, you'd be like,
what about our safety?
Right, maybe that's not necessary because these jittery motherfuckers could have shot me and I didn't do nothing.
Are very important. You always have to look at the facts rather than just policy. Remember, police policy is not law. Many times in civil rights litigation, federal judges will not even allow police policy to be shown to the jury because it's not the law. The judge tells the jury what the law is. The police don't get to make up the law. They get to make their own policy to govern the conduct of their officers, but that doesn't mean that
when the cops say, it's police policy, department policy, suck my dick. I don't give a fuck about that.
All over the country,
that's not a law.
Have this policy where they are going to perform a high-risk stop or a felony stop on a vehicle that is believed to be stolen. But that would be a mistake, in my opinion, because it's going to include many different situations, such as this one, where it would be unreasonable to point a gun at somebody.
Right. I mean, that's pretty crazy. I mean, that shit like this happens all the time. You're minding your business. You did nothing wrong. And you're in handcuffs now. Make that make sense to me, son. I don't know. Let us know what you think in the comments. You think it's reasonable for the police to immediately, without any other information, point a gun at you if your car comes back stolen? Or should they have to maybe get just a little bit more information? If they tell you, get out the vehicle, put your hands out the vehicle, and then you don't do it, then pull the gun out. Right? Some type of non-compliance, some type of thing that would reasonably indicate that the person might be a threat to you, as opposed to just the fact that they committed a crime. Because people would like to make the argument that criminals are armed and dangerous simply because they're criminals, and that's not true. There are all kinds of non-violent crimes people do all the time. Burglary of unoccupied structures, all shoplifting, shit like that, where you don't really need to pull a gun on them, as they're not more likely to have a gun than anyone else.
I don't think that excessiveness is necessary in regards to this, especially because you have to have indication that that person is going to be doing harm or a threat to you.
Right.
So I do agree that it was excessive.
Yeah.
Because there was no indication for it.
Yeah. But you let us know what you think.